just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat ass sunlight already.
Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special episode here on a Friday night of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. That's right, a place where you can come and talk football amongst your friends here, between Jimmy and myself.
We're all equals here, right, Joe?
We're all equals. We all like to share opinions. We all like to debate. We all like to talk football. That's what this is about, bouncing ideas off, all that jazz. Listen, if you're new to the show, please do us a favor. It really helps us out with the algorithms and the whole, getting noticed type of thing. If you could do us a favor, head over to YouTube. Search us up, Football on the Know Show. Hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. You can also do the same thing on Facebook. Search us up the same way. Become a member. Become a know-it-all. That's what this is about. A football community where we can talk with each other, maybe share some pain that we're going through week to week, maybe share some accolades that our teams might be going through. So let's talk some football, guys.
Accolades. For my team, there's not a whole lot of accolades going on. A lot of movement.
Yeah,
Let me tell
a lot
you,
of
transactions. We can fill up the transaction board. Let me tell you about that, though.
Your coaching staff went upgraded, though.
Yeah, all right. So, pleasure having you guys here on a Friday night. If there's anything you guys want to bring up and talk about, bust it up in the comments. We'll be delighted to talk about it.
Yeah, and we welcome anything fantasy related as well.
All right,
we're here for you.
Let's get to it. The news that has happened recently this past week here, we got Russell Wilson and Jimmy G both signed extensions here. Mm-hmm. Let's just get to probably the Jimmy G one first, I guess, Joe.
Yeah.
After all of the drama that we've been following all summertime long and everything, and the fact that the 49ers come out and said they were going to be moving on and
is
starting
he getting traded?
with
Is he
Trey
not?
Lance and everything too. So again, he's Jimmy G's free to go look for trades and stuff like that. So throughout all the turmoil and all that stuff going on, now he's staying. He's sticking around.
Right.
They worked out an agreement. He's just like, I don't want to make waves. He's even come out and said. So he's now re-signed or signed a new deal here to stay there for a one-year deal and now just be that veteran guy as a backup here for Trey Lance.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that Niners, they were willing to wheel and deal Jimmy G. However, there wasn't a whole lot of interest, if you can picture that, for Jimmy G, which was kind of surprising, or at least not enough interest to where there was a high enough pick of value for the Niners to receive. So, negotiations have to go hand in hand, and if they don't work out, then, nothing happens. So, for Jimmy G and the Niners, this is actually a blessing for both, because now Jimmy G doesn't have to go anywhere and kind of have to prove himself once again to another team or anything like that. But he does become the highest paid backup quarterback in the league, making around $6.5 million as a backup after they restructured his deal to reduce that cap number. Now, if you remember, it was 21 mil around there that he was going to get paid this year. They restructured it. They reduced it down so they can fit under that cap number. And Jimmy G he lives in the area. Why would he want to move if he doesn't have to? Still going to get paid decent, but is a perfect insurance policy for the Niners.
Yeah, and that's what it kind of is flat out. A lot of people are trying to make a little more out of this, I think, than it is. They're trying to say again now, do the 49ers question what Trey Lance is now?
No.
Is it really he's just not coming along that fast, so they need a guy like Jimmy G to come in possibly?
No. They already decided that he is the starter.
Again, he's the starter. Jimmy G, there wasn't a lot of interest, so they're not going to get traded in there. They don't want to just cut him or anything like that. He doesn't act
can't.
like, he's like even disgruntled enough. Like, I just don't want to be on the roster. Not like the whole Baker Mayfield situation. No. Why not make it just a 1-year deal? He helps you out for this even 1 year. And then if something happens, Trey Lance does go down, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, guy who's taking you to the playoffs.
Who can win.
You to multiple championship games and a Super Bowl, too, as well. Again, it's got it going on for that. What a great backup to have there for you. And after the season's over, he's a free agent. Then if anybody does want to test the market out there, somebody grab him at whatever deal that he can make then. Everybody's happy. So I think this is a great situation here for them. Everyone's happy, and I don't think there's as many waves as a lot of people are trying to make out for this.
No, and the one thing that could have been a little bit more difficult to navigate is that if Jimmy G still had like 2 or 3 more years on his deal. That because Jimmy G's not going to want to sit back for another couple years until he's free to test the market. Right. That might have thrown a little bit of a wrench into the whole deal, but it's a lot easier pill to swallow for him and his agent because they're like, okay, we'll take the back seat, we'll be the backup guy, and then after the season's concluded, we're free to go test the market and maybe get another starting job elsewhere.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Russell Wilson deal now, Joe. It comes out now here, too. He's got a new 5-year deal. We were just talking about it off air on how he's got these trademark sayings he was going with the Seahawks. Now
Go Birds.
Yep, and now he's got his new one that he's been doing. What is that?
Let's ride.
Let's ride. So he's got to be like that Kirk Cousins, kind of deal. It's just, whenever you see him,
like
he's got to say it. You
like
that.
It. Like it.
So he's like, let's ride. So he's ride or die now with these guys. But the thing is now, you look at this deal. And, he doesn't have, like, roster bonus or money, for the last, say, when he's at 37 is when all the money comes off, the guaranteed money. But still, that's even older, so I guess that works out for the Broncos if they're ready to move on with him at 37. But the deal goes till he's about 40. So, again, a lot of these quarterbacks, I think, since they've seen Tom Brady do it, I think they feel like they could keep going, too, as well and play into their 40s, possibly.
Well, here's the thing. For Russell Wilson, I just can't get behind the deal. I think it's way too much money because now he's getting paid. Like if you put it on, like say average, the average amount he makes per year, he's right up there now, close to just under Rodgers. Like he's under Rodgers and maybe Watson like area, Deshaun Watson area is where he kind of ends up sliding in. And it's like you just gave a guy a humongous raise for the lackluster of last season. That to me doesn't make sense. I understand they want to lock him in longer. I get all that because you traded for him, but man, that's kind of a crazy number for a guy that there's a lot of unknown now for him. He had a down year late last season, and he's coming to a new team with new players, new coaching staff, new offense. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to take a huge, jump back up into the upper echelon of quarterbacks all of a sudden. So, I think the deal might be a little premature for me. I feel like they probably should have waited till like maybe this year and see what they really have in Russell Wilson before they go ahead to and agree to a massive deal like this.
Well, that's the thing. Looking at the salary, though, the way it is, the base salary this year he's going to make $2 million with a $10 million bonus. So they loaded up some bonus money for him. That's where he's getting the payments from.
The cap relief.
Yeah. And in 2024, he's at $17 million. And when now the bonus money, the guaranteed salary comes off in 2025, when I'm talking about when he's 37, he's going to make $37 million that year. So it's backloaded. So anything after here, though,
all right.
That's what I'm saying. It goes to $40 million, then 45, then 50
Let
million.
me ask you this. Before we get to that point, are there any cap savings if they wanted to move on from him? Like if they cut him,
wanted to move,
if they trade him.
Yeah.
Like,
There's going to be the 5.8 million debt cap savings. Yes, in that year.
Is there
2025?
How much is the cap savings?
It's not dead cap money. Yeah, I can show you even right here on the tab if you want to look at it. It's 5.8, and as you go through, it goes to the 37 million, and then the
but
million.
Here's they are screwed. I'm just gonna tell you this because when you have 49.6 million in dead cap money, oh my God, they can't cut him. Let me see if they could trade him. If they were to trade him, It's still 31. It's still but I mean it's 27 million point two like in cap relief, so it's kind of like picking apples and oranges there. If they were to trade him after June 1st, that's what would have to happen. So if they were to trade him after June 1st, they would have a cap savings of $37 million and only $18 million in dead money, which is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still got to eat that. So I mean, the contract is like lifetime. Basically, let's just call it what it is.
That's the thing, though. The one question you would have about it would be, well, Russell Wilson, especially a lot of analysts or last year, people finally were pointing fingers at Russell. Even Pete Carroll was.
Oh, yeah.
And saying that he's actually on the downturn. So if he's on the downturn and the Broncos go and get him and say, hey, maybe we can go win now with this guy and get him, they're actually saying he's going to take us into the future.
Right.
But if we see that same Russell Wilson from last year and stuff, they might be in a real heap of crap then, huh?
Right. And the other thing, too, that we have to take a look at is offensive line. I mean, what he had in Seattle wasn't very good.
Right.
And what he has in Denver isn't very good. I mean, when you really compare the two, they're pretty similar to each other. I mean, Drew Lock, when he was the quarterback for the Broncos, he was moving around and running for his life sometimes. I mean, granted, Russell Wilson's got, crazy legs for that, can get out of harm's way, can create more time that way. But there's going to be a lot of pressure in this AFC West. I mean, has anybody paid attention to the amount of pass rushers now that are in the AFC West that he's going to have to deal with 2 times a year? With the Raiders, with the Chargers, with the Chiefs. Like, there's no let up any given week in that division for him. So I wonder about that offensive line. How good can it become for him in terms of pass protection? That's got to be a concern for me. And the other thing, too, is age. You can't predict when a guy, like, look at Tom Brady right now. Brady just got back from his 2-week hiatus, and he returns and he's doing his press conference. But you look at him, and he even admitted in his press conference, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm aging." They're like, "Oh, Tom, you look a little different now." Yeah, guys, I'm aging. I watch Netflix and I chill and I take it a little easier now when I'm home. He still works hard and competes, but it's like you could see it on his face that he's aging, and those type of things you can't get away from. So Russell Wilson, eventually that's going to creep up on him. And what does that mean? Does that mean he may get a little bit more injured? Does it mean that his throw power is going to be affected? His
velocity, things like that. But one thing about that too, what makes Russell Wilson kind of special too, his escapability. I know this since I've got even older too. Running, has been a little rougher too at times, stuff like that. I mean,
a little bit more
if
sore.
that's what helps make you special, and that's what your tools of the trade are, and you can't do that as well. Maybe you lose a tick of speed, maybe something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a little harder for you to do
Definitely.
it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe gets injured again like that. That could affect that. Then it's a whole different thing. Then it takes that whole main aspect of what you bring to the table out of it.
Definitely.
So then what are you? Like, that's why we talk about Lamar Jackson the same way. If that's what he does and that's special, and you take that away from him, look at Robert Griffin III. They took that away from him early on. Injury. Because he didn't learn to kind of slide or go out of bounds quick enough and got injured. Took what was special about him, took it away, and then when they tried to keep him in the pocket, we're going to make him a pocket quarterback. Couldn't do it because he didn't have didn't have it. Didn't have the tangibles.
No, I mean for that same situation though, you can't force someone to be something they're not. And I don't see that happening with the Broncos with Russell.
I don't see them trying to do that either.
But that's the downfall of Washington when they had him. They tried to force him to be a pocket guy. You can't do that to an athlete. It just doesn't work out for you. But the other thing, too, I want to point out as well is you could easily argue, was his weapons better in Seattle than in Denver? Yes, I think so, absolutely. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett compared to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Mind you, Jerry Jeudy yes, he has. He's still kind of he's been around, and we're waiting for his breakout year, but he still hasn't really proven that he's a dynamite number 2. Cortland Sutton has proven himself, but listen, he's getting longer in the tooth, and he got injured. He's coming from a major injury last year, so can he remain healthy? So there's a lot of what ifs with this team, not let alone Russell Wilson and what he can do for the Broncos. But I mean that contract, I think that's a little premature. I think it's kind of crazy to give him that kind of commitment. And I understand it's been a while since the Broncos have had a very, very good quarterback, but just because you acquired him in a trade and now you dump all this money and have this long extension until he's about 40 years old, that might not be the answer right now. Like, why not see what Russell Wilson can do for you this year first? Then maybe, if he goes off, then give him this kind of a deal.
Why do it now? It seems like they're going all in. And you talk about a franchise that hasn't had a good quarterback since Peyton Manning. And again, that was another quarterback that they had to go and woo to get over to them. Was it somebody that they drafted and that, that they were able to find and raise up to get somewhere? That's why I think it's so tough with a lot of these different teams when they're trying to find that franchise quarterback, because you don't have the storylines like you do with the Aaron Rodgers sitting for 3 years and then finally becoming the starter and stuff like that. The way the world is and the way that the NFL is right now, a lot of these teams don't have that luxury, and they're kind of expected to try and get there and move these guys along. The closest thing we've seen it is to like Patrick Mahomes sitting a year behind Alex Smith. But even seeing him now, he still even has his mistakes, and he's growing year to year still in front of our eyes. Some of the learning not to do some of the certain things that worked early on in his career that, has made him a superstar, that really is showing that, like, you can't really stick with that all the time. It's going to work every now and then, but now, no.
Yeah, it's like a two-way street, though, in terms of the new age quarterback coming into the league, because unlike, way back in like 80s and in the 90s when like quarterbacks were seen as like, okay, we draft them, they sit for a year. It was like a predetermined thing where like you're automatically sitting for a year, you're going to learn, and then you're going to slowly but surely like develop and maybe become our starter. Yeah. Nowadays, it's like quarterbacks are almost ready to go from day one, and coaches as well are worried about their own jobs. Yeah. So they feel compelled where they have to start him sooner rather than later, even if they're ready or not. So
I think because there's so much money involved too.
It's a double-edged sword, really. In its terms of like how much investment that you made. Like when you draft a quarterback in the top 5 versus the bottom 15, you might have a little bit more leeway in that area. So a lot of variables to go through.
Now, what do you feel? Now, I heard a storyline today from Keyshawn Johnson. He said that he had talked to multiple players that used to be on the Seahawks with Russell Wilson.
Okay,
and they said that some of the situation was that Pete Carroll, Seahawks. What do you think of that? They like to run the ball, keep it safe, and then you just get us out of some situations or throw some balls, get it down there. Yep. They said that he wanted to do that, Carroll wanted to do that, but then Russell Wilson wanted to be more of I want to be the focal part of this, and I want to start spreading the ball around more and be that passing type of guy. And then they said they weren't going with it, but then the last year they decided to kind of roll with it, and then he didn't look so good. So again, he heard this from players, he said, so that's why he thinks where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's an easy way to convince me to say maybe that's why Pete Carroll's like, well, Russell didn't do this and stuff like that. So, so he wanted it his way, and, that's what he got. So it is his fault. But I don't know, man. I don't know about that story. That's really, a lot of people want to say, yeah, but, people say, no, absolutely not. Because when you watch it, what we say every year, though, too. And it was right there, the offensive line. He was getting sacked 50 times a game. You can't be a successful drop-back quarterback if you're getting pressured that often. Right. So then you're running around, stuff like that. Then you try to run the ball, and it doesn't matter because they'll try and stuff the run. Then what do? Then they go after you again. In that offensive line. It's some of it might be true.
Tough.
It's different. But
it's tough. I mean, I would take it like I would say this. Like, if it actually did come from players – because now they're more freely to speak about that situation because Russell's no longer there.
Yep.
One thing I'll say is that it was very unprofessional for Pete Carroll, of all people, your head coach, to basically kind of point the finger at your franchise quarterback and blame him. throughout that latter part of the season. The other thing I'll say is that, yeah, you're right. Offensive line wasn't playing up to par. They were struggling and to keep him upright and stop the pressure from coming. But at the same time, it was also Russell Wilson's decisions when he got out of the pocket that, caused some issues as well. So I think that I would say that they're not going to change the offense automatically because Russell Wilson wants to be seen more as a pocket quarterback than a runner, right? Especially at this point in his career. If you're going to do anything like that, it's in the very beginning. You're keeping Russell Wilson as a pocket quarterback from day one. You don't change that in the middle of his career and say, oh, now we're going to do what you want to do. So I kind of disagree with changing the offense to fit more of a pocket quarterback like Russell wanted, and then, oh, well, that's the reason for his decline. No, I just think that it was one of those weird situations that a lot of turmoil was going on between Pete and Russell and the team, and nobody really saw eye to eye. And I think that's what kind of influenced a lot of the bad play, along with bad communication, and it reflected on the field. You don't ever want it to get to that, but it did.
Right.
I'm not saying that Russell Wilson didn't deserve any of the blame, but also you can't just say, oh, it was all his idea. That's why he failed.
Yeah.
So now he's in Denver. No, he's out of that whole situation. Let's see what happens with Nathaniel Hackett now as the offensive mind there. New head coach for the Broncos. And let's see what they do. From what I hear out of Denver, I hear that they are going to create an offense around Russell. Like what fits him best. Like we all know, legs got to be part of it. Coming out on play action plays and being able to threat the run, but also dump the ball off. You know what I mean? That's where he is like dangerous. So expect that kind of an offense.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be interesting there. I'm not really high on the Broncos, like a lot of people here.
Everybody thinks they're going to the Super Bowl.
Right. And like I said, you got different rumors that are coming out there. Some of it makes sense, especially he brought up the fact that Seattle, if you feel like you have the franchise quarterback, he's not happy. You still, look what happened to Aaron Rodgers. He still was able to stay. Right. A lot of these other guys, you don't just trade them away.
They smoothed it over in Green Bay.
They just traded him away.
Yeah, they gave up.
So there was an issue there with, I think, somewhere, but again, maybe
definitely.
not to the extent that it's all his fault. I think it was between both mutual parties.
But in that situation, what usually wins when it's between your head coach and your quarterback? That's very hard to find as a franchise Q.
Right.
Well, get rid of the head coach.
Yeah.
Get rid of the head coach.
Yeah. I hear you.
I think they made a bad decision.
Yeah, absolutely. If it was the NBA, they would have got rid of the head coach. That's the way it is. Players have the power there. But we're going to give a shout out to Mike Tackett in the house with us.
What's going on, brother?
I'm just getting to you, Mike. He's with us. Happy Friday, boys. New work schedule.
Right.
Awesome. So maybe you can chill with us a lot more. He said him enjoying weekends again.
There we go. Congratulations.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm starting to enjoy some more weekends too myself. I like it.
Nice.
All right, here goes. The last 5 years, Seattle has been in the bottom half of the league in passing attempts due to his O-line play. Don't expect anything new in Denver. There you go. He says it right there too, Joe. Here's Seattle's passing attempts rankings. The past 5 years, he's got the stats here.
Yep.
Hashtag know-it-all.
Here we go.
2017.
2017.
16th. 2018, 32nd. Dead last.
Boom.
2019. 23. 2020, 17th, back in the middle of the pack. And then 2021, almost at the dead bottom, 31st.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He's got the stats right there to prove it. Yep.
The proof
is
in the
pudding.
pudding.
Saying there. So again, where some of that storyline might be a little bit of it,
right?
Because I could see the one thing because you saw when he was saying he wanted to be part of more of the front office decisions and things
planning,
like that.
Yep.
And even after winning the Super Bowl, when he went to the second Super Bowl, he had a little more swagger to him too. So I could see maybe he even had a little more, behind him, like, oh, here I'm somebody now. I want to be this guy now. I want to do this and this and this. And they're kind of like, whoa, slow
almost
it down.
Almost kind of like a power struggle.
Yeah. And so I could see him trying to just dampen that a little bit. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Denver Broncos. I don't believe the deal was the right thing to do. Again, I'm like Joe.
Not now.
Feel it out this season and then work it out if he starts to play well. But again, for a guy that started off pretty good at the beginning of the season, then tapered right off and dropped off to where people weren't even, they were taking him out of the top 10 like quarterback lists. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
people were taking
yeah.
him right out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they're not even saying that he was anywhere near elite or anything like that for quarterbacks.
You know, it's awfully eerie that, this contract extension just got done, and the amount that it was, maybe it has something to do with his new catchphrase. When he keeps saying, let's ride, he's like,
That's
hey,
right.
he's really with us.
Yeah.
We got to lock him in.
That's right. He's in. He's all in. Who knows? All right. So, who's all in, Joe? I'm talking about Mohawk Honda here. Mohawk Honda is all in with us. If you guys haven't checked it out, by the way, we were at Mohawk Chevrolet last week.
That's right.
We did
that was
two
fun.
shows last
that
week.
Was fun.
We were there Thursday in the afternoon to see the new Corvette, the 2023 Corvette.
Oh, God, that thing is
Joe
gorgeous.
got to sit in it. It was amazing.
So gorgeous.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
It was cool to be there.
It's
We had a
amazing.
good time with our man, Chet Davis, too. We talked some fantasy football and everything else, too.
Yeah, it was a
If you
blast.
guys have fantasy leagues, you're out there, let us know what your lineups are. Tell us what you think about them and stuff, and we'll tell you what we think if you post them up there in the comments.
Yeah,
Let
and
us
we'll
know.
even give you, listen, if you're struggling on who you should start or sit or anything, we're here for you.
Yeah,
Drop
absolutely.
them down in the
But
comments.
Mohawk Chevrolet was really nice, but we love our friends at Mohawk Honda there on Freeman's Bridge Road, where they go out of their way to please you. And you know what? The market's still kind of crappy right now, but they still have the lineup stocked there. Whenever I drive by them, Freeman's Bridge Road, I see everything pre-owns, brand new ones, and they got more coming in all day, all week, and they can do whatever they can to put you in the right car that you want, the payments that you deserve. Trade in your vehicle. They'll give you the best top dollar for it with the Kelly Blue Book instant cash offer. So go to MohawkHonda.com. You could search it all right there for your car, your trade-in amount, everything else there. So that's where you want to go, MohawkHonda.com. And when you're satisfied and you want to go down there to Freeman's Bridge Road, go talk to our guys there, and they'll take care of you and put you in the car that you want. Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. That's right.
Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah.
Got
I
through it.
stumbled and fumbled through that one again. I've been getting worse at these things.
Listen,
But
I think we should have a preseason for ourselves.
it's Friday. I think I'm already taking time
spent.
off, so
You're
I
spent.
didn't even dress up for the show. I might get my pajamas right now, But anyways, Joe, we've been doing the AFC NFC predictions and
That's
stuff.
right.
To predict the division, see how they go, where they lay. We do this every year and stuff like that. This week, we're on to the AFC East and the NFC East. So we have been partnered up with Godzilla Media this year, and we had a couple of our analysts or other show members here. We asked them what their picks were and stuff. So we've got a few here. So let us put you to them, and we'll show you who they picked for the let's go with the what do you do with the NFC? Let's do the NFC East first, I guess. Even though I switched it up on you. Let's do the NFC East here. And this is who they have. Here we go. All right. Sean Martin's got the Eagles, then the Cowboys, Washington, and New York. And actually, if you look at it, they all have that. I didn't even pay attention. I didn't even put this stuff in there. Look at that. So Brian Katie's got it too, and Godzilla Media himself, Tom Gozlowski, he's got the Eagles too, the Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, and the New York Giants, the bottom feeders of this whole thing. Man, there are my Giants, Joe. Man. But this division, it's funny
Tough.
that maybe it seems that it's just so cut and dry, but I don't think it really was even for a lot of people because a lot of these teams you still can't gauge.
No.
How many times have we seen the Eagles grab a bunch of like stars or whatever, good players, join the team, but maybe they're not the right fit for the team even too. Remember back 2012, I think it was, when they had Vince Young and Nnamdi Asomugha and, and Asante Samuel there and everybody, and it bombed, So it looks good on paper, so the Eagles look pretty good here. So, again, how well is their quarterback going to play? Maybe that's the question here for them. And then the Cowboys. Cowboys always look pretty decent again on paper. They don't have a Amari Cooper this year, but again, poised to do something with this division. And you've got probably the best quarterback in the division in Dak Prescott. And then you've got the Washington Commanders here with Carson Wentz. Big question marks about him still. I mean, what kind of advance have you made? You want to talk about a quarterback, a team that's needed a quarterback since Alex Smith, probably even too there. What the heck's going on with the Washington Commanders and the Giants? They're on full rebuild mode. So what do you think about this and what these guys have got going on here?
I mean, it's kind of funny. If you're playing the slots, I mean, you just hit. They all got the same thing. So, I mean, jackpot. I mean, I agree with what the three guys right here, Cody, Martin, and Gaz, what they have going on in their division, because it's awfully funny because I kind of got the same exact thing.
There it is.
And it easily, here's the thing that I'll say about this division. It's never easy to pick this division. It's always very difficult because it never, happens the way you think it would. Eagles, I will say, have the most complete roster in the division. They got a good D line. They got everything on that defense looks pretty darn scary. Their secondary is scary. Their offense, a lot of weapons, and just like you mentioned, Jalen Hurts has got to take another step forward in order for this team to get farther. And their offensive line is healthy again. Like, let's see. That's always been the big factor for them is health. I don't know if can they stay healthy? If they do, they got a shot at winning the division. Cowboys, they're already having problems. Offensive line, the left tackle, Tyron Smith is now done for the year. And if you remember, on one of our earlier shows, we did kind of touch on that and said, can he stay healthy? Well, the answer is no, we can't. So he should probably retire. And now for the first time, I think in like forever, the Cowboys don't have a very strong offensive line. It's very, subpar. It's not very strong. And it makes me wonder because Jerry Jones has always been a prominent figure in that organization, always saying, make sure I have some hogs up front, always to create holes and protect. So there's some, discrepancies and weaknesses for the Cowboys, just like every other team after that. You look at Washington. Carson Wentz scares the hell out of me as a quarterback. I could easily see Taylor Heinecke coming in mid-season and trying to do what he can to kind of salvage what they have left. They have other weapons. They got young rookies coming in. Jesus, I just forgot his name. The rookie. Coming in. He looks really good in preseason, but then again, it's about what you do in the regular season, what that matters. So they got Antonio Gibson returning and looking to make a prominent return this season after his major injury last year. So, and the defense, what is going on with Washington's defense? They got everybody healthy yet again. Are they going to return to 2 years ago where they were so hard to move the ball on, or are they going to be like last year where even though they had great players, it just seems like nobody was on the same page? And the Giants, just like Jim mentioned, like for me, we already knew that they had some changes that were going on with the coaching staff and what have you and players, but they're just not ready to make a big push. We thought they were close a couple years ago or a year ago, but it seems like everything's kind of falling apart right now, and they got to put all the right pieces back together to try to get this thing going.
Yeah, and Jahan Dotson was who you were thinking of.
That's it.
You were right there, but again, that's why it even threw me off because I'm like, yeah, what is that? Because it sounds right, and I was like, man. But that's what happens when we go over so many teams, like all 32 teams, and we go really far in their depth that we'll just slip the names, not even think about it. Like, man, what was it? And mesh them together. I did it earlier.
And Curtis
today,
Samuel, too, is on that team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they got some weapons. Logan Thomas, everyone forgets about him. Mm-hmm. Logan Thomas is a pretty darn good tight end. And everyone seems to forget about how good he is.
Yeah, and that's when you bring up the Carson Wentz thing, too, it's one of those things, like, because they were still, the Colts were still even able to make it into that playoff last year. And what did he do? He crapped the bed. He couldn't get through. And he was mostly the reason why they lost that game, with the turnovers and stuff. And this is what they're trying to do is grab a quarterback that doesn't do that. And that's why, for me, the move to go get him made no sense to me because you were Taylor Heinecke isn't going to be your franchise quarterback, but he can definitely be your bridge now until you get somebody. So why make the transition and go make a move to trade away a pick to go get a guy like Carson Wentz, who for me, I think he's already just damaged goods. You can see it. He's just damaged goods right now. So Taylor Heinecke, that was getting a rhythm with the wide receivers, with the team, a guy who was overlooked. So he was drafted later on and now kind of moved into this starting role a little bit just by working hard and knowing the coaching staff too and getting to this point. Really got the team along with him. Like he was carrying the team. He was being a leader in the locker room. The players were getting around him.
Yep.
And now you bring Carson Wentz in here. Now they're going to try and follow him.
And if you remember, when Heinecke came in, remember Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt before the season started. Heinecke, great opportunity for him, steps in. Mm-hmm. He actually won quite a few games that people didn't anticipate that to happen, and that actually helped him further develop too. So why would you stunt that and bring in Carson Wentz where you're like, not. How many Washington fans out there are excited for Carson Wentz?
None.
I don't hear any.
Yeah.
I don't hear any. So nobody. I mean, Taylor Heinecke, people were starting to get behind. Like Washington fans were liking what they saw on the field. Yeah, he made mistakes just like any other young quarterback, but he's still developing. And I think he's 29. I want to say, He was. I was surprised. I thought he was younger, but when we looked at it, like he's like around that age, like 29, and just like you mentioned, like he'd be perfect, like as a bridge quarterback right now to hold on to that seat, keep it warm until they find an answer.
Yeah, and then when you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, that's I still have them the same way that you are. Let's take a look at my picks here, and it's unanimous amongst Godzilla Media.
This will never happen again.
Yeah, never again here. So there it is. I got the Eagles again, Cowboys, Washington, and the Giants. The Eagles again all just lays on their quarterback and how he can perform. And I think I have enough faith in them that they can do it with the team that they have too. They're a real strong competitor. And even when it looked like the Cowboys were going to be the favorites in the division, the Eagles popped up and ended up taking it anyways.
Right.
So this division is so tight, it could be anybody's game here too. It's just what week it is or what they're dealing with. Cowboys, I just think they move into second because of Dak Prescott. He's been able to lead them through a lot of different things, whether losing players on the offensive line or not. He's been able their lifeblood, because what happened even when they didn't have him, when he went down with that ankle injury, Andy Dalton couldn't get him there. These guys, nobody could do it. So he's got to be their lifeblood. He's got to be the guy to bring them to the playoffs and get further where they want to. I just worry about it's on Mike McCarthy this year too, though. So who knows?
It's always against him.
Right?
I don't even know how he got the job.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, like Jerry's like, hey, will you listen to everything I say?
He did the sleepover.
Yes, I'll say whatever you say.
During the sleepover, I want
you're hired. So I mean, like, offensive line is a huge concern, though. Like, you want to protect your quarterback.
Right.
And Dak Prescott being as important as he is to this team, I don't see them doing a very good job of it. And they haven't made any strides. Like, okay, they drafted a tackle this year, right? A kid who's kind of raw from Tulsa, who you can't teach size. Obviously, he's got tremendous size, and he's got good attributes to become a good tackle, but he's not proven yet. And now he is going to be forced to play that left tackle spot. Tyron Smith no longer there, so that's going to be a little bit of a concern of the unknown for Dak. Is he going to be comfortable back there? And especially after he suffered a leg injury, is that going to be in the back of his head like, oh, man, this guy's a rookie. I'm not really sure how it's going to work.
Right.
In the game, if pressure is always there, then this offense is going to struggle.
Right.
I mean, you better hope that you can develop a run game to at least kind of break it up.
Right. And for a guy, even as a rookie, was had question marks about his penalties that he has, going to a team that was the highest penalized team last season, and right now, currently in the preseason, had the most penalties again. So, and when Mike McCarthy's asked about it, he's like, it's preseason, who cares? I'm not worried about it. Well, you guys did it last year too during the season,
right.
So nothing has changed here. So, do you think you maybe want to try and figure that out?
We like penalties.
Yeah, and that's so that could be the question mark for them. But that's why I just think Dak Prescott does enough. Washington just not sure what's going on with that team, and then the Giants again after all the moves here with the injuries. Like I was telling Joe, the injury list is crazy plus the that's just the PUP list alone. But then again, on IR, now they just released Blake Martinez, which I was excited to see him. I was just talking to somebody about that. I'm like, let's see him come back this year, because he was our leading tackler, I think, before he got injured. And just a good leader for the defense, and gone now. So I'm like, we got all these guys filling in, young guys, and it's just a mess there. So who knows what we could see. The only thing you want out of this season is to see what you really have in Daniel Jones during some of these games, whether it be losses or not. And Saquon, what is he? Is he going to be able to get back to what he was the first 2 seasons? And is that going to be beneficial for us, depending on what the deal might be, or for somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too, is there's going to be a lot of
That's all you're
proving
gonna
this
see.
season. It's almost like, let's extend the preseason for the Giants all through the regular season.
yeah.
Because that's really what it's going to be. It's going to be like a very long tryout for a lot of these players. And
So I don't have a lot of high expectations, so I think I'll be less stressful this season. Who knows?
you will still be amped
maybe
up, but, especially when you play the Cowboys. But also, you're going to have some guys are coming back from injury like Barkley. Can he remain healthy would be a big win for him all season, and then leading that into the next. But also, you mentioned Blake Martinez is being released, and I understand he was coming back from kind of like a big injury. Now the new coaching staff, new GM, they don't have any ties to Blake. They didn't bring him in, so. What's to say that maybe the trainers and the doctors that they have probably evaluated him and be like, we're not really sure how well he's going to come back. If there was an injury concern, then that could probably lead them to releasing him because they don't think he's going to be 100% when he gets back out there. So that's something also to think about. Even though he's a really, really good player.
Yeah, and it's also been coming out that he was having disagreements with the coaching staff too or not too.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going? Maybe him and Wink Martindale didn't fit what was going on there too.
Think about it. Patrick Graham was their D coordinator. Now he's not there anymore. New DC, new defense. So obviously, there was a little bit of friction between Wink Martindale.
All right, we've got a comment from somebody from Twitch. All right,
what's going on?
There we go. We got Dark Sage 9117.
Welcome to the show.
I am going to make a bold prediction. Well, let's hear it. Let's hear your prediction out there. We like bold predictions.
I like it. Let me hear it.
I got sent a text from Gaz when he was giving me his picks here for the picks that we have here tonight.
Yeah.
And he says he has the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. So that's a bold prediction.
Really?
Yeah, we're also going to go through the AFC East here, too, and he has one of those teams possibly making the push to get there, too.
But this is the same guy that loved Jameis Winston as a quarterback.
But now hates the Saints and wants to put them at the bottom of the division this year, I think. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, but that's his rival.
Yeah, I
Come
know,
on.
but it's kind of funny, though, because you have no faith in him. Yeah, what do you think about that with some people who's saying I think it was Bart Scott said that Jameis Winston even has a shot for MVP this year, and Keyshawn,
strong words.
I think just because his nephew is Michael Thomas,
right?
He says they're going all the way and winning the Super Bowl. So I think they have some good personnel. Their defense is pretty good, and Jameis Winston, it looks like he's come around a little bit, but we don't know yet.
I like the team.
He's been able to put up points, but he's also given up points. Here we go. Dark Sage here. He goes, I believe the New England Patriots will win the AFC East this year.
Wow.
It seems to me the media and the young Patriot fans are all doom and gloom about since Brady is no longer with the team. I am very high on Mac Jones and believe that he is the real deal. But I am concerned that the young fans of New England and the media want Mac to fail because he's not Brady. And I see them giving them a very short leash to get results.
I'll agree with you that Mac Jones is the answer because he is. He's already proven it his rookie year. For him to have the success at a rookie level, he's only going to trend upward. So I loved Mac Jones coming out of the draft. I think he was me and Jim both thought he was the perfect fit for the Patriots if he got there, and he did. So I don't have any questions about Mac Jones. I think he's going to be amazing for the Patriots going forward. But the things that are the bigger question marks, this is why people are a little down on the Patriots, us included, this year, is because, one, there's a major change at the offensive front. There's no longer that long, transcending rotational door of offensive coordinators anymore. McDaniels took a lot of those guys with him. He left. He's been there for years and years and years. And that was where they had all their success offensively is through McDaniels. Now, big major change. Now they're not even sure who the offensive coordinator is. It could be Matt Patricia. We don't even, what's the official word yet? So because there's a lot of uncertainty in that side of the ball, that's why people are expecting the offense not to be as good. The defense might still be solid. They might be okay because Bill is still the head honcho in that department. But they do have a lot of young and newer faces on that defensive side of the ball with some injuries. So with that all being said, the Patriots as a whole are not as strong as they once were. And that's really the problem.
He says here, perhaps that was wrong to say, but he never hated the Patriots like many did. He goes, I hated the media coverage that they got.
Yes.
And since Brady is gone, it seems like the media has basically turned on them. I'll give you a point for that one. I mean, a little bit in a sense, because, again, they're not all like – they were in love with Bill Belichick. They're ready to make the Lombardi Trophy become the Belichick Trophy.
Everybody loves a winner, though.
Oh, yeah, they do. But now that Tom Brady has gone to Tampa and won again, they're like, oh, see, now it was all him now. So let's go switch to him. And look at Brady. It's a man in the arena. Here it is. And then, now he's gone. But now he's back. And
that's a couple of years ago, though.
But I mean, that was even last year they did the man in the arena. It was his good hurrah to walk away from the game.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like when I say everybody loves a winner, that's the media follows winners. Like that's it. Mm-hmm. So when you don't win, they didn't win their division last year, correct?
Patriots no, but they made the playoffs and they went to the playoffs.
But they didn't win their division. That's what I'm getting at. Like until they knocked off the king. The Bills won, and they knocked off the king. Now the funfair and the media attention is going to go to the Bills now.
Oh, it is. And
that's what I'm saying.
Sickening. Yeah,
so there was a changing of the guard, and until the Patriots come back up and knock the Bills off, that's why the media kind of gears towards winners. So I mean, but I will say this: I've never seen the Patriots besides way back, I mean, this is before Brady, before Bill Belichick. The Patriots used to be abysmal. Like they were the worst organization in the league. Mm-hmm. Before that, there was no coverage on them at all. Mm-hmm. And then when they had that long, I mean, they were a dynasty, right? This was an organization that went forever, 7 Super Bowl wins. Like it's crazy to even think about that for anybody. But because of their success for so long, the media was all up their asses, was always pro-Patriots. They're never going to lose. They're winning everything. They're taking over the world. Now, they're no longer that team anymore. So now that has happened, that's why the media attention is not, I wouldn't say against them. I say they're not pushing them to the front of the line.
Well, yeah, because there's no real big narrative to push there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was easy to try and steer that narrative to keep them, because everybody wants to look. What's the conversation that Goz hates and a lot of other guys we talked to? The Mount Rushmore of this and this and that. These guys, they're the next, franchise that's going to be, a dynasty. This, oh my goodness, and blah blah. And that's
thanks
what they
for
wanted
the
to
comment anyway, Dark Sage.
Yeah, Dark Sage definitely. We really appreciate it, and that's what we even said to. I mean, maybe this is the guy we talked to at Mohawk Chevrolet. I don't know.
Might be. I don't know.
But Mohawk Chevrolet, he was like a Tom Brady fan, and then he's like, "What did you guys think of Tom Brady?" And then I just said to him again, I don't really like the narrative that media pushed so much on him. As far as a player, I think he's a pretty good player.
Right.
And again, as a dude, I think he's all right. I probably enjoy him. But the way the media portrayed him all the time and just pushed him up into this big hierarchy, you can't touch him, I think that was a little excessive.
The one pill that was hard for me to swallow is that early in Brady's career, he didn't have just a chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. He had a humongous ego that kind of rubbed me wrong. Mm-hmm. So I would say early in his career, I did not like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I didn't like him as a player,
right?
Because I just don't vibe with that. Like I don't like guys that are just gonna be like, oh, I'm the best. Even though that's needed at his position, but he kind of just let it out in public like a little too much. You know what I mean? For my liking. But now, like you fast forward it now that he's been in the league for quite some time. Now he's as he got older, that kind of diminished. He was more like, I'm going to handle my business. I'm a competitor. I'm going to do whatever I need to do, and I'm going to win. You know what I mean? It was a little bit less of a direct, like kind of assault at people or at other teams. So, but now, like you start to see a difference in Brady. You know, his
yeah,
views
yeah.
and
Now
the
maybe
way he
he's
carries
matured,
himself.
even got older. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. And but yeah, thanks Dark Sage for that comment. That was cool.
Definitely.
We
Very
love
good.
it. Talk about bold predictions, Joe. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now, right?
Are you?
I think right now you're going to do a Johnstone supply read right now. What do you think
God.
about that?
Way
That's
to
the bold
go out
prediction.
on a limb.
Yes.
Listen, the summer months are winding down. We're almost at the end. Yeah, Jim, look at you're right. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I know it's sad to say, my Northerners, but
It's cold in the morning.
it's going to get colder as we go from here. So before it gets to that point, before we get into the fallish weather season and into the winter, let's get prepared for it. You know, if you need help or have any questions, call Johnstone Supply. These guys are amazing in Troy, New York. You can call them at 518-272-5922. These guys are clear-cut professionals. They can do heating or cooling. But now that we're transcending towards those colder months, let's get a jump on it, right? You know, let's call these guys up if you need a new furnace, if you have any questions about your heating system and how it works and what can you do to enhance it, make it better. These guys are the go. Johnstone Supply in Troy. Listen, they also have these new Fujitsu, Goodman, Westinghouse products that are great. If you're still interested in AC systems, they got those right there for you. They got those ductless mini splits for you. Maybe you want to get a jump on next year's summer. They can help you with that. Or heating. They're the place to go to for anything. You can also stop in one of their great stores, at 2600 6th Avenue in Troy, New York, and talk to them there. You know, let them know why you're there. Kevin, James, or Bird, they're there to talk to you guys.
Tell them
they're
we
to help
sent
you
you.
out. Call them, 518-272-5922.
That's right. Tell them Large Marge sent you. Oh, man. All right. So we're talking about the NFC East and the AFC East. Now we're getting to the AFC, especially now that Dark Sage has brought it in. And that one's one of the other things, too, that Tom Gaz had told me in a text. His dark horse was that Patriots make the playoffs, and they challenge the Cincinnati Bengals to take the AFC Conference Championship and possibly be in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles.
How many drugs was
Here
Gaz on?
are the Godzilla media picks. All right.
I just am very concerned for Gaz right now. I don't know where he's
Well,
going
he
with
has
this.
see them coming in there into second there with the Bills, and
Wow.
but then they're going to overtake the Bills. Or you think somebody else is going to take the Bills out in order for the Patriots to move up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because if the Bills sneak in, you would think they'd have to be the lower seed, so they would probably play the Bills possibly or whoever that best team is. And like you said, the Bills are the media darlings right now.
They are.
Love some Josh Allen. He's better than sliced bread right now, and the Bills are just they're expecting him now. Now they've got all the pressure on them right there to win it all. It's win or bust. All right, so let's say they all have the Bills there, but let's look at Brian Cady and Sean Martin here. They both have the Dolphins second. They swap with the Patriots and the Jets here, and Gaz has the Dolphins and the Jets here last for there. So they're a little different here. They're not the same like last time we went through with the NFC here.
Right.
But what do you think about this here? It seems like there's a little more mix of confusion here. They're not sure what to think of this division.
Well, one thing that we know for sure, the Bills are going to win the division. I mean, that's pretty, straightforward all the way across. Listen, how could you not like the Bills right now unless you're a rival? I understand. But the Bills, they're so complete. They're so dangerous, and they got even better in the course of the offseason. So you look at, if everybody remembers Cole Beasley, who was their slot wide receiver, yeah, they got a kid by the name of Isaiah McKenzie, who is not only blazing fast, but he's every bit of good as a route runner. Like, he's amazing. So they got better in that department. You know, they love the development of Gabriel Davis. They have a plethora of running backs to use. James Cook got drafted by them. Dalvin Cook's, relative. So there's a lot to like with that team, and they could do a lot of different things. Dawson Knox, who kind of blew up and had a breakout season last year, looks to continue that success. And, of course, Josh Allen, offensive line has been improved, and defensively, they have a lot of underrated young talent that's going to jump off the page this year. Don't forget, last year they did not have one of their key defensive corners, and Tre'Davious White was gone for most of the year. He's returning, along with a draft pick that they got in Khair Elam, who I love. He's one of my best corners coming out. I think this kid's going to develop into something special for them. So, top to bottom for the Bills, they are easily the favorites. Then you go into the other teams, and that's kind of like where it becomes a little murky. You know what I mean? We're not really sure what the Patriots are really going to have week one. No one's kind of come out and give an official word like Bill Belichick saying like, oh, well, it's going to be, Joe Judge is going to be the offensive coordinator, or it's going to be, someone else that we don't know about. You know what I mean? That hasn't been decided just yet. So, and defensively, there's some key veterans that are no longer on that team that I think people kind of just assume is still on the roster. Donta Hightower is no longer there. They're missing some guys, some new young talent, but they're still kind of there's a little bit of injuries on that side of the ball. And then offensively, I don't know what to expect because it's going to be a different offense in a sense. And I don't know how they're going to call it. So there's a lot of unknowns for them. The Jets, Jesus, they can't stay healthy. Mekhi Becton, yet again, is out for the year. Like, I don't know what to do with this guy. You got to lose some weight, bro. Like, that's got to be his reasoning. I don't understand. I can't figure it out any other way. But
don't be rude.
The one thing would be great is if he was able to stay healthy. They got a legitimate shot to, surprise some people. But now you're losing out on that right tackle spot, and even though they brought in Dwayne Brown, he's there to straighten probably left tackle up. But it's like, and then you got the things with Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
he's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Again, too, that same foot. So that's what we got to worry about.
Yeah, I like the receivers. I like the new young talent that they have, and Denzel Mims. It looks like he's starting to come into his own in preseason and performing much better. Breece Hall, another draft pick. And then defensively, you're starting to notice on the defensive side of the ball that Robert Saleh is putting the blueprint down on his defense. They did a ton of work through the draft on defense, added some free agents. They're not there yet, but you can start to see the foundation on both sides and starting to bring it up in terms of maybe even having a chance of being 500, maybe. But now with Mekhi Becton being hurt, Wilson's going to miss some time. Now you're like, oh, well, that's gone in the toilet. That's not going to happen. So that's why I could see a lot of people kind of losing faith in the Jets right now, and then them kind of trending downward in that division. And then the Dolphins. Dolphins are another one, right? As well, like Tua, he's been the big question mark for this team. So far in his career hasn't been like, here's the keys and then just drive it. He's kind of been given the keys as a rental, taking the keys back, go have a seat. We're going to play someone else out there. You know what? You can go back in. He's hurt. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much carouseling right now. Now it's give him the keys. Let's see if he can work with a new coaching staff and a new offensive philosophy that I think is going to fit Tua better.
Right.
And I'm hoping the best. I really do like Tua. I've been a fan of his since Alabama, and I'm hoping that he can kind of make the stride he needs to make to kind of lock down that position. But with all those weapons that they have now, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, who they drafted, Tyreek Hill in a big trade, and they got a very young offense. It could be very scary. And then defensively, we already know they're really rock solid, especially on the back end. If they can put it all together this year, they really literally do have a chance to surprise a lot of people. Could quite possibly be one of those teams where you don't really think much about them, and all of a sudden, hey, they're winning games. They're right there in the hunt.
Right. Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. You look at a team like that, where it's they're fully stacked when their question mark is probably the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the quarterback is got to be your guy, that franchise guy that's there. You know, here's your backbone.
Yeah, right.
But when you have all these other guys, weapons that you have, even like Preston Williams now is on the trade block just about here too because they're so kind of stacked here for them, and he's kind of tapered off.
Oh, they cut him.
So there you go. So
they cut him.
So he's down.
He's a free agent, by the way. Anybody need a receiver?
Yeah, and you saw that trending that way, throughout the offseason here.
Well, we did go through those like likely scenarios of maybe trades happening, and he was one of them.
Yeah.
And we talked about it on the show. We were like, hey, listen, it's either he's going to be traded and Dolphins are looking for a certain draft pick because he's still young, and if it doesn't get met, we could easily see him being cut.
Yep.
And that's ended up what happening.
Right. And then here, let's look at your picks, though. So here, before I get into mine, let's take a look at what you got here.
Let's take a look.
You said the Buffalo Bills. You got the Dolphins here in second, and then the Patriots there, and then the Jets down at the bottom. Even though you're excited about these guys, what was it about the Jets that really brought you to bring them down to last behind the Patriots?
Honestly, it's injuries. I mean, to be honest, you don't know. There's no guarantee if Zach Wilson comes back. If you remember last year, he got injured last year and missed some time. Came on, I think he played the last 2 games or something like that, and looked actually pretty good. And then there was some, there was the thought of, man, if he could stay healthy and keep developing next year, which is this year, he could be something. He could be something for the Jets. And if they kind of surround him with more receivers and a better line and all that, obviously that's what you project. That's what you hope for. And it looked like it was becoming reality. And then, boom, he goes down with another injury. Now he's out for 2 to 4 weeks. How much time is he going to miss for the regular season? And when he comes back, is he going to be thinking about the injury? Is he going to be 110% ready to go? So there's a lot of question marks there. And then Mekhi Becton, I think, is just a huge loss for them off on that offensive line. So, I mean, this is a team where you start to see, with Robert Saleh and his coaching staff, 2 years now, you're starting to see them build something. And I like the talent that they've added. But it's like every time you can kind of get a little bit, like you're like, maybe they're going to do something. I'm not saying they're going to win a division, but like maybe they can actually be just under 500. You know what I mean? Or 500. This could be the year where they make that jump.
Right.
And then the carpet just ripped right out from under your feet. And you're like, injury there, injury there. I don't know. So that's kind of why, for me, the Jets kind of dropped as far as they did, because there's a lot of uncertainty still. And the team's not 100%, like the Patriots. And that's kind of why I was kind of debating with that. I'm like, well, the Patriots are well coached. The Bill Belichick's still there. But there's a lot of changes. It's not just the whole offensive staff basically is gone,
right?
Which is bigger deal, I think, than a lot of people are letting on. But the personnel has changed a lot. There's not as many veterans on that team as there once was. And I wonder, with that changing of the guard, with that kind of transition with players as well, is that going to disrupt the team overall throughout the season? Like, I don't expect the same Patriots that maybe some other people are expecting.
Right here, and I had the same picks as you, and we both match Brian Cady from Godzilla Media. So here we go with the Buffalo Bills first, then the Dolphins, and the Patriots, and the Jets. Same thing kind of here with me, with you. Maybe injuries for the Jets is one thing, but then, again, from where they were last year to this year, I think they do get better, but I think this division has still gotten better. I mean, look at the Dolphins and then the Patriots. I think I just keep them in it and above it, just because I do trust in Belichick and what he's able to do, despite all the things that they face, the difference in the play callers or what it might be.
Right.
But we also were able to see Matt Judon be real big defensive part on that defense, but I'm looking to see some of these other guys, who's going to step up now that's behind there. Guys that have been there, the Dietrich Wise, that's been my under the radar player for a little while. He's got to kind of step up here. We saw Isaiah Wynn taper down, and now he's down on their practice squad now, so he's even topped off the face of the earth. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing moves like that. So what's going on with this defense?
I would trade for
the focal points of this team. And Mac Jones has been just a solid rock. During the offseason, he went and traveled to every single wide receiver wherever they lived and practiced with them. So he's been that stand-up quarterback guy that's there first and leaves last, So I believe in what he really can do, and I think he's still got the perfect fit here, even though Josh McDaniels isn't here anymore. I think they're going to do things to get him success. But again, overall within the division, how they've gotten better. You've got the Miami Dolphins there, who you can't deny the things that they have added. The building blocks that have already gotten started there by Brian Flores, and now has been adapted by Mike McDaniels, and now he has added more of that, more of his touch and feel to it, added some of those running backs now too on top of it, and the weapons. So Tua, again, make it safe. They're going to probably try to do it the way they did with kind of Jimmy G, and the fact that let's run the football a little bit. You've got all these weapons here, so you can even utilize Tyreek Hill the way you utilize Deebo Samuel a little bit, in the run game a little bit, or short passes, something different. Mix it up a little bit. You're seeing those things out of Andy Reid and some of these other teams, little gadget plays, Sean McVay with the LA Rams. You could do it here with Miami too as well. I like what they've got there. The weapons, the Jalen Waddle's still there too. But the Bills, again, like everybody has said, the way they performed, kind of feel like they got shafted out of a game there. They let the game out of hand against the Chiefs. The thing, you can't count those guys out because they still can score quick, and that's how they were able to really win the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Who was on that team, Super Bowl. Well, I know Tyreek Hill was, but we called it though. The only way they were able to win, though, because their defense wasn't spectacularly great. At times, Chris Jones played during the playoffs really well, but they just started to outscore people. They were able to score like that really quick to get back in the games. I don't think the Chiefs have that ability anymore. We'll talk about that next week, but they let them off the hook here, and the Chiefs were able to do that. But now the Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill. Right. So that switches, I think, the balance of things here, too. Where now it's got to be the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see what happens. Again, we've got them here at the top of the division. I like the Dolphins' chances here, but they play the games, Joe. The season's starting next Thursday, my birthday. It's going to be exciting. What a day to start off my birthday. You get to watch the Bills and the Rams, too, Joe. Yeah. Where a lot of people thought that might have been even the Super Bowl. So close, Yep.
It should have happened, but it didn't. I mean, and that's the other thing too, is if you connect the dots on this, the Dolphins, they're very intriguing to me. With this new offense that's going to be implemented, it's definitely has to have. I mean, he's been sitting under Kyle Shanahan, right, for quite some time, and just learning. Now he's going to get a chance to display what he's learned with this new Dolphins team. You're definitely going to see similarities, like you bring up Deebo Samuel with Tyreek Hill, and vice versa with Jalen Waddle, because you got to expect that there's going to be jet sweeps involved. You got to expect there's going to be wide receiver screens. There's going to be a lot of those things that each player does very well, because you remember Hill with Kansas City. They did that with him, wide receiver screen, throw it right out to him. We got a couple blockers, and he made things happen. So they're going to do a lot of things that help all the players on that offense, and they all do well together. So I'm really excited for the Dolphins. I think it's the first time I've been this excited for them in a long time.
I think this is the first time maybe that they might be excited since they had Dan Marino. You know what I'm saying?
That's way too far back.
If you want to talk about when we talked about but seriously, when we talk about teams that haven't hit on a quarterback since their last big franchise quarterback, I mean, there's another one. Dan Marino is probably their last good quarterback, right? If you think about it. I mean, in some times where they were kind of a mediocre team, they had Vinny Testaverde there at times, I think, throwing for them. They had Dante Culpepper there a few times, but nobody to the caliber of Dan Marino. You know what I mean? So then that's what teams keep trying to search for.
I know everybody hates on him, but Ryan Tannehill, when he was healthy,
imagine that, right?
Didn't do crazy terrible when he was with Miami. So
right. I know. It just, again, I think at first some of his were some injuries, and then just didn't work out. It could have been the coaching staff that was there too, because there's a lot of problems.
Everything goes hand in hand, right?
But the Jets are real quick again. Zach Wilson, you're gonna have to figure out what he is, and that's why I think what keeps him at the bottom. Because when he was playing, even too, despite the injuries, they were not doing very well. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't put up points. Just didn't look very good. The offense wasn't getting geared up, and I think this year the defense takes a step up again with Robert Saleh.
They'll get a little bit better
on it. But again, it's all on that offense. What are we going to see? Again,
I
they
mean-
got some weapons for him, but it's all on him though.
But that's the
Can he
thing
get it to
too.
him?
Is
And that
when you-
offensive line, being
right
picked
when
up,
you look
so.
at Zach Wilson or in his career, like so far his short career, didn't have a whole lot. You know what I mean? So he's not going to really do a ton for you when you don't have the weapons and you don't have the offensive line to protect him.
Yep.
And you don't have a running game. Remember that. He never even had a running game yet. So hopefully with Breece Hall being drafted and the offensive line looks like it's a little tiny bit better, even though Mekhi Becton is done, maybe they can put something together. Maybe we can start to see something from this offense. And that's what you got to hope for as a Jet fan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's the AFC East, the NFC East there. Next week we will have the West and then do our picks, Joe. We're going to picks competition.
Oh, yeah, we're doing the picks, baby.
Here we go. It's going to be
all over again.
The beginning of the season.
This is going to be one of the toughest seasons to guess on
so.
who's going to win and lose.
Again, because look at the first game. Bills, Rams.
What the hell?
Good luck with that. And you know what? You can't fault anybody for picking
One way or the other.
One way or the other. Absolutely. So again, maybe we'll figure something out for my birthday. We'll do something or whatever. I mean, what a day to be my birthday. The first day of football,
crazy,
NFL.
right?
Let's go out do something anyways, But first, before we take off here, I want to thank our friends here at Colorize, too, that sponsor the show. Colorize, they're locally owned here, and they have 3 stores in Clifton Park, Niskayuna, Queensbury, and there's going to open one in Troy pretty soon. So right there by Hudson Valley. So we're excited about that. And yes, they are the Benjamin Moore dealer, but they also focus on many other different things as an independent dealer as well. So make sure you check them out at any 3 of those locations. For anyone that's a professional, but also the do-it-yourselfer, they'll help you with the project that you need to get done to make it smoother, easier, and less expensive for you too as well. Talk to my man Brett there at Niski. I love that guy. He helps me out all the time. Colorize, the right paint, color, and advice from local professionals who care at mycolorize.com. There you go. I was a lot better with that.
There you go.
All right, so that's
Thanks,
it for our
guys.
show this week. I hope
Definitely.
you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week. The NFL's coming.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.